everyone, this is Jill from the Cozy Company. Today I will be guiding you through the cobblestone pattern, which is considered an intermediate pattern as it incorporates two types of stitches, the knit stitch and crossovers. To complete this design, we'll be repeating an 8-row sequence. In the PDF, you'll find a reference guide detailing how many times you may need to repeat the 8-row sequence to achieve different lengths. For this video, we'll be creating a size small. To get started, we want to cast on 30 stitches and pull up a loop through each of the 30. I've already done that, as you can see here, so we can start with row 1 of the 8-row sequence. For row 1 of the 8-row sequence, we want to be on the right side of the blanket working towards the left. So for row 1, we are going to follow this sequence above. We will knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have our first crossover. We're going to take the next two loops, the left loop and the right loop, and we're going to do a cross. So I'm going to take my left loop, I'm going to cross it over my right loop like this, and I'm going to knit this one that's laying on top first. So with my working yarn, I'm going to knit through this one, and the one that's behind, you may need to look behind to find, and I'm going to knit that one second. So as you can see, it's more of a raised stitch than the knit stitch. So we knit 5, and then we did it across left over right. We are going to then knit the next 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we are again going to take the next two loops to do a crossover. We're going to take the left loop, cross it over the right loop, and then knit them as they lay, meaning I'm going to knit the one that's on the top first, because it's closest to my working yarn, and then I will knit the one that's behind. And we are going to knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and repeat the same crossover, left over right, and knit. Knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, knit left over right, and then we are going to knit the last 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've just completed row 1 of the 8-row sequence. Next, for row 2, we're going to be on the left side of our blanket working towards the right. So this row actually starts with a crossover. So it's going to be crossing our left loop over our right loop. So to accomplish that, I'm going to cross my left loop over my right loop, and I'm going to knit my bottom loop that's closest to my working yarn first, and then I will knit the loop that's on top. Next, I will knit 2, 1, 2, and now we're going to be doing a back-to-back crossover. So the first crossover, I'm going to be doing a right over left and then a left over right. So I'll be working with these 4 loops right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. My first crossover is my right over my left. So I'm going to pull my right loop over my left loop, and I'm going to knit the one that's on top first, and then I will knit the one that's underneath. Immediately following, we're going to do a left over right crossover. So with my next 2 loops, I'll take my left loop, cross it over my right, and then knit them as they lie. So I will repeat that sequence for the rest of the row. So as you can see on the slide, I will knit 2, cross right over left, and then cross left over right, and repeat. So knit 2, 1, 2, cross right over left, knit those, Immediately following, I will do left over right. And then repeat. Knit 2, cross right over left, and then left over right. Again, knit 2, right over left, and then left over right. Now we only have 4 loops left, so I'm going to knit 2, and then I'm going to cross right over left. And that completes row 2. For row 3, it's going to be a similar pattern as you can see on the slide. So to start, we will knit 1, cross right over left. So we'll be going like this, right over left. So I'm going to knit that left loop that's behind first, and then knit my right loop. And then I'm going to cross left over right. And we will repeat that same sequence for the rest of row 3. So knit 2, cross right over left, and then immediately following, cross left over right. So knit 2, 1, 2, cross right over left, and then cross left over right. Repeat. Knit 2, cross right over left, and then left over right. Repeat. Knit 2, cross right over the left, and then left over the right. Last time, knit 2, cross right over left, cross left over right, and lastly knit 1. We're now on the left side of the blanket and we're going to be working towards the right. So for rows 4 and 5, we're going to be repeating the same sequence. As you can see on the slide above, we will start by knitting 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to cross left over right. So left loop over right loop, and knit. Then we will knit the next 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and again cross left loop over the right loop. Knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, cross left loop over the right loop. So these are my 2 loops. Cross the left one over the right one, and then we knit each of them. Knit the next 4, 2, 3, 4, cross left over right, knit 4, cross left over right, and then we will just knit the next 2. That was row 4. As you can see, we've already made half of the cobblestone pattern. So the next 4 of the 8 row sequence, we'll be bringing it back out to create almost like a circle. So again, row 5 is the same exact sequence that we just did for row 4, except we're starting at the right side of the blanket, working towards the left. So again, as you can see on the slide, we will knit 2, 1, 2, and we're going to take our left loop And this is kind of tricky because it's the left loop is already behind, but we want to wrap it around and take the left loop and put it over the right loop. So again, these are my next two loops, and this is where we did the crossover last time. So your left loop is going to come over the right loop, and we're going to knit that one first and then the second one. And again, we're going to knit 4, 2, 3, 4, and repeat where we cross left over right and knit. Knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, cross left over right, knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, cross left over right, one, 2, 3, 4, cross left over right, and then we're going to knit the last two. We've now just completed row 5. Row 6, we're starting on the left side of the blanket, working towards the right. So as you can see on the slide, we're going to start row 6 by knitting 1, and then we're going to cross right over left. Immediately following, we're going to cross left over right. And we're going to repeat. So we're going to knit 2, cross right over left, and knit. And then the next 2, cross left over right. Knit 2, cross right over left, and then left over right. Knit 2, cross right over left, and left over right. One more time, knit 2, cross right over left, then left over right, and you should have the last one to knit. For row 7, we're going to be starting on the right side of the blanket, working towards the left. So the start of row 7 starts with a crossover, so we're crossing the left loop over the right loop. So left loop goes over the right loop. I'm going to knit the one on top first, and then the one behind. And then as you can see on the slide, I'm going to knit 2. Then I'm going to cross right over left, and then left over right. So as you can see by just completing that one, that closes that cobblestone or that circle. So we're going to be repeating that through the rest of row 7. So I'm going to knit 2, 1, 2. We're going to be working inwards, so I'm going right over the left, and then left over right. So again, as you can see, that just closed off that cobblestone. And we're going to repeat. Knit 2, cross right over left and knit, and then left over right. Knit 2, cross right over left, and then left over right. Now we have 4 loops left. We're going to knit 2, and then we're going to cross right over left. We've now just completed row 7. For row 8, which is the last row of the sequence, we are going to be repeating the same exact as row 1. The only difference is we're going to be on the left side of our blanket working towards the right. So we're going to knit the first 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cross left over right. Knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then again, cross left over right. And knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cross left over right. Knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cross left over right. And then we want to knit the last 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that completes the 8-row sequence. As you can see, it completes the cobblestone. So you want to repeat this 8-row sequence until you get to your desired length. If you need a reference guide, you can see the PDF on how many times I would recommend repeating the 8-row sequence to get you to a certain length. But again, that's just a guide. Feel free to do it as many times as you'd like. And if you have any questions or concerns, or if you're stuck at any part, feel free to reach out to me via email, or you can message me through Instagram